and because they are the best. You're reading it and you're thinking about it. You're
Stick is
feeling
staring me down over there, man. Like, you better get this live read right without no papers, no script.
Hey, we all got to learn how to grow up with no paper. know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? No, normally I'm going to break my rule. Normally I wait till they start it because they always will. But I saw Sparty walking around, the Spartan mascot, and Mike G he reminded me, or he wanted me to ask if he ever came around, like if he's. What are his expectations? Like, is it okay, 5-7 season? Like, what are you looking forward to? 5-7, 4-8. Like, see, I'm not even prepared to start this. I'm just trying to.
You know what? Yeah, we need to get Sparty over here so we can ask Sparty the tough questions. That's what they want out of our media, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do it.
I kind of forget we're talking. It's 8:35. We're having fun. It's casual. If I were to look around, there would be legends that I grew up listening to, watching. Yes. And I would probably be a lot more nervous than I am. I'm just going to pretend like there are only mascots right behind me.
I love when we do these things, especially the golf outings, because of all of the different, like you said it, legends that we get to talk to. I'm still ecstatic for you about what you got to do
with Gibby.
The interview, man. Like, it's an
Dreams.
awesome time, and this is and we're trying to take it as serious as possible, man. We're really trying to take this thing as serious as possible. Because this is a sacred opportunity. As much as we love Detroit sports, to be able to have this opportunity, you got to do it right.
This is a dream. Go blue, by the way. I see that hat.
Hey.
It is a dream to be able to talk sports for a living, whether you get paid $1 million or $25 million. That Stephen A. is asking. Stephen A. is asking for $25 million a year.
Bro,
pay that
I'm
man.
not ready.
Look, bro, we'll do this for free.
From a business standpoint, they kind of have to.
Exactly.
By the way,
you got to pay that man.
But that just shows you where we're at as a society.
It could be worse.
We're not getting into the political side.
I was going to say, it could be worse.
We are here. We're here at the Cherry Creek Golf Club, the DSMA, the Detroit Sports Media Association annual charity golf fundraiser.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you, we're going to play a game of snatch or scratch.
Scratch and sniff?
Scratch and sniff? No, which free agents out there on the market are you willing to snatch up? Or which you're going to scratch off your
okay.
How do we connect this to golf? You scratch golfers, scratch it off your card, your scoring card.
I got you.
Yes, snatch or scratch. But we saw this weekend, Kool-Aid, some high-profile NBA players find some new destinations, find some new homes.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan finds his way to Sacramento in a three-way sign and trade. 3 years, $75 million. Bulls received Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks.
Not bad.
And the third team kind of in the deal. I can see why Trajan Langdon decided not to be the third team in the deal.
Okay. Who was the third?
I forget exactly the return, but it wasn't much.
It was just another team to help make the numbers fit.
Yep.
Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges was rumored to the Pistons. A lot of people have talked about him. He goes back to the Hornets. 3 years, $75 million, $25 million a year.
$1 million a year less than Tobias Harris. I thought that was interesting.
Interesting.
It was, but for him, hey, shout out to D-Mac, man. The legend is in the building. Shout out to Darren McCarty.
D-Mac.
But I thought it was interesting that it was only Charlotte. With as much talent as we know Miles Bridges has, we didn't hear any buzz about anybody looking into him. I think we heard a little bit of maybe the Lakers, but don't the Lakers look at everybody?
Yeah, right.
So it's like I didn't hear anything about this guy going anywhere. The Charlotte Hornets, they brought him back on what could be considered a deal.
Yeah, Caleb Martin to the 76ers on a 4-year, $32 million deal. Not the highest profile player, but I put this in here because you hear from the Miami Heat. He turned down a 5-year, $65 million extension.
Wow.
He bet on himself, and it did not work.
Sheesh.
Damn.
5-year, $65 million, turned it down.
Talk about the ultimate gamble,
He went to Dennis Schroeder route.
Yup,
Yeah.
then signed with the 76ers. He still got 4-year, $32 million.
Yeah, at least it ain't as bad. Well, no, I mean, Schroeder still played a long time.
But 1 year, $33 million difference?
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's just wild. Absolutely.
Should have stayed home.
Wild. So with that,
shout out KG.
The names on the free agent market have started to dwindle down, but there are still some players to fill these last, 1 or 2-ish roster spots they have left, or at least some guys to come in. These won't be guys that come in and compete, but maybe some vets to come in and fill out the roster, possibly in backup roles for most of these guys, but not everybody. I'm going to try to start with a name. So, Kool-Aid, you're going to tell me, are you going to snatch him up, or are you going to scratch him off your list?
Hey, let's go.
I'm going to start with point guard Tyus Jones, unrestricted free agent, formerly of the Washington Wizards, in 66 games played last year. He averaged 7.8 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 2.8 I'm sorry. Those were Markelle Fultz stats. That's
I
coming next.
thought Tyus was a little bit more, a little bit more gas.
12 points per
There
game.
you go. A little bit more gas.
7.3 assists per game, 2.7 rebounds per game, 41.4.
And he got a ratchet. There you go.
A ratchet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can shoot
He
that
shoot
thing.
that thing.
There you go. See, KG knows.
That's what a ratchet is. He's got a ratchet. He can shoot that thing.
Yeah.
Shoot that thing up, mommy, make it roll. That's you, Pop. Lock.
Let's go, man.
Are you bringing in Tyus
Studio
Jones?
show at the golf course, but Tyus Jones, how can you say no? I think when you talk about what are the areas of improvement for the Detroit Pistons, number one is just I need a paint protector now. You brought in some shooters. Number two, though, I've been thinking about this point guard role, either backup or next to Cade Cunningham. I don't think that you go bad by bringing in a guy like a Tyus Jones. There's another point guard on the list, though, that intrigues me a little bit more for some other reasons, but I'm not against a Tyus Jones.
So for now, you're snatching him up.
I'm snatching.
I'm trying to guess which one you're talking about. Is it older or younger?
I can't tell you that.
I got one younger, two older.
I can't tell you.
All right, I'll go old. Kyle Lowry. Unrestricted free agent, formerly of the Heat and the 76ers.
That's Kyle Lowry.
You know what?
That's Kyle Lowry.
I'm going to give my comments, but I feel like just based off the initial, we're going to have to get KG's comments as well.
KG, talk to us.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll give my comments.
You said, what is it, scratch or what?
Snatch?
Snatch or scratch?
Scratch or crabs.
Scratch it out, man. Definitely scratch that one out. And that's no offense to Kyle Lowry, the person. I'm sure he's a great person. But just on the court, he doesn't really have it anymore. He can't really shoot that well. He's getting blown by a lot of players. So I just would stay away from that at this point.
Yeah, defensively, certainly doesn't help you out. He is getting up there in age. My reason for putting him on this list to ask you guys, it's a veteran point guard.
Yep.
You don't really have to – he might not be what he used to be, but he's not a guy you have to worry about. He can come in, take some pressure off Cade, although likely in a backup role, but help out whoever is that, whether it's Cade or a starting point guard next to him, just take some pressure off. But did you get an answer?
I was going to say this would be perfect if it was a situation where you could get some type of draft capital for acquiring him. But this is a situation where you're going out there and you're signing him, which makes it puts a little bit of a damper on a Kyle Lowry. But there are some intrinsic things that, as much as people will say no for some of the things he does or doesn't do on the court, for who he is as a vet who's seen it all, done it all, and one of those guys who's gone from not much expected to a guy who everybody was like, yo, he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
I like Kyle Lowry. Man, some of the best basketball we've had in recent history was the Kojo years, man. Give me another veteran point guard on this squad, but I do got to scratch.
I'd rather have Curtis Joseph on the Red Wings. How about another point guard? Last point guard I'll throw at you. Not a veteran.
Yep.
Still, although it feels like he's been in the league for multiple decades. Still a project. Still a developmental piece. Markelle Fultz.
Oh.
One of the odd men out in Orlando. Unrestricted free agent, formerly of the Magic, in 43 games played last year. 7.8 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 22% three-point shooter. So he's not a shooter. He's not a three-point shooter.
If this was 5 years ago where you're taking a flyer on potential, then I'd take a chance on Markelle Fultz. But there's already been 2 of those attempts already to try and kick the tires on a Markelle Fultz. It just hasn't worked. I got to scratch.
What? He was number 1 overall in 2017.
Sure was.
That was Jason Tatum's year. It was Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, Jason Tatum. Have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh, he was one of the –
Philly would have been a dynasty.
One of the weirdest cases you'll ever see with a first-round pick or
seriously,
a 1-1 pick.
Chuck Knobloch of the NBA just absolutely got the yips, and his career was derailed. Chuck Knobloch. All right, let's move off the point guards.
Yep.
How about shooting guards? This is where
this is
where it gets exciting.
I think there's a player on this list that I like a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the first one I'll ask you. Snatch or pass, Kool-Aid and KG. Gary Trent Jr.
Oh,
Snatch.
We've talked about Gary Trent already.
Please.
Snatch.
Say snatch one more time.
Snatch.
Snatch. Yes.
Get in this van.
Do we have to say much about Gary Trent Jr.?
Yeah.
Talk
3
to me.
and D, does it all. He, like I say, he can shoot very well. He's going to come in and contribute to this team. I just hope that the Lakers don't get to him. I pray that he doesn't go there, but I would love to see him on the Pistons as an extra wing.
Do the Lakers have money for him? After
I don't
LeBron
think so.
signed his max contract, 2-year max for $104 million, do they have enough money? I know the Pistons got money, especially now that you're telling me Fontecchio was on that exception.
That's what I'm trying to confirm, but that's what people are saying the Pistons utilized to be able to sign him.
Would you rather snatch Gary Trent Jr. or shooting guard Luke Kennard? Former Piston.
Gary Trent.
Good on the
For defense?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, when you look at, like we said, what Trajan has done, the defensive potential is really resting with the young players on this team. The veterans, he didn't sign one veteran whose defense, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Gary Trent would be probably the best defender that he would have brought in.
Hey, put him to the top of my list after just hearing this. Let's do one. Actually, let's take a quick break. We'll come back with a few more. We'll finish up Snatcher Pass before we get into the Tigers next segment. Let me tell you about Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza because they're taking over. They got new locations.
People, welcome back to Wake Up Woodward, man. It's been a good start to the morning.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful out here at Cherry Creek Golf Course for the Detroit Sports Media Association annual charity golf scramble in Shelby Township, Michigan.
This is awesome.
It's awesome. It's awesome. The environment is cool. There's a lot of people here, man. When I drove in, the parking lot was absolutely packed, and all we've seen since then is even more people pour in. Just pouring. It's awesome.
Pouring.
Shout out to the president as well, Neil Rule. He's been kind of taking in our show. He's learning from some of the best. I'm just playing. Shout out to Neil.
There's something going on over there with the mascots. I see Paws taking some cuts. Everyone's watching Paws swing looks like a driver.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, though, but it is a beautiful day out here.
Is Justin over there?
He might. I think he's getting some
content.
Yeah, some organic content, some Whole Foods approved content.
Awesome.
Put it in the organic produce section. Content.
Need that.
But Kool-Aid, we're talking Pistons. Before we get into the Tigers, I got a few more names to throw at you in our segment. Snatch.
We just got done talking about Gary Trent Jr., who is now you learned the word, ratchet. He's a ratchet.
He's a ratchet. You decided to snatch it.
Yeah.
You were considering whether you want to scratch it.
Ooh.
Barking,
I'm on the mic like I'm B-Rabbit. Would that have been a bar?
That was a bar.
That's so actually, good little alert, teaching moment for all of us. That's when things happen like that. I think that was 50-50 bar. I don't know.
That was good.
Maybe not. That's where we need the final ruling from the Bar King himself. JB, bar or not? Ratchet, scratch it, snatch it.
You know what? It wasn't bad. I gave it a bar.
Okay.
That definitely deserves it.
You can
Let's
put him on the board.
Let's go.
So when we went to break, Kool-Aid, he kind of
sir.
looked over at me, and I was like, I felt his eyes like beaming down on me. He's like, bro, what about Dinwiddie?
Yeah.
Who I had on the list.
Ooh.
I decided to pivot away from him, but Kool-Aid,
Yes,
snatch or scratch, Spencer Dinwiddie, former Piston, great.
As long as you can manage the ego of Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
You got a player there.
Is that how you're going to intro? You're taking him because as long as you can manage the ego, we're building culture here, bro.
We're building culture here, but Spencer Dinwiddie is a very, very intelligent player, and especially kind of being able to track and kind of look at where your career is going. If you come to the Detroit Pistons, you know that it's one of those check your ego at the door type situations, especially when this team has won 17 and 14 games respectively. Cade Cunningham is going to have the biggest contract, and you got players that are stepping foot in here who have really won some things. And Spencer Dinwiddie has as well, but not necessarily as one of those main drivers. So it's like if you are able to convince a Spencer Dinwiddie to take a chance on Detroit, because realistically that's what it would have to take. That's a retread that I don't know necessarily if he's looking to revisit, but I like Spencer Dinwiddie as a player. I like him defensively. I like his offensive IQ. I like his ability to kind of step in and offer another one of those kind of tall, got wingspan type guard players, all-around type players. I like Spencer Dinwiddie.
Could Dinwiddie and hypothetically Dinwiddie and Tobias Harris, they could end up being like the Taylor Decker and the Frank Ragnow of the Lions, just bridging the gap in a roundabout way, coming back to Detroit. They were part of the struggle. They were part of the tough times. But when we're talking about getting into a new era, maybe those are two of your vets.
And he's, you know what, and when I say manage the ego, I don't mean like take this guy's ego away. Oh, he's too cocky, he's too this, he's too that. It's just know how to harness the skills and the talents of your players. They did the same thing with guys like Ben Wallace, with Richard Hamilton, and so forth. And one of the things that I do like is he plays with those mean streaks, with that edge.
I like that.
And he feels like he belongs, man. That's infectious, especially for some of our young players on this squad. I wouldn't mind Spencer Dinwiddie. What about you, KG?
I would snatch that in a heartbeat, for lack of better words. But, yeah, the only thing I have concerns with him with is his offense. It tends to be here and there. But he makes up for it on the defensive end. I would absolutely accept this, although he would never, ever come back. My question to you, though, is if you were to get a Spencer Dinwiddie, would you start him in this lineup?
Ooh.
I don't think you can put him on the bench.
I don't start him. Oh, my gosh.
I don't think you can put him on the bench. I don't.
So you're saying that if a Dinwiddie's here, then Ivy's not starting?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be Cade and it's going to be Dinwiddie.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're talking
Ivy?
Your whole starting lineup is 6'7" and taller.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is. And then you got more
That's
scoring
insane.
coming off the bench. So I would prefer to start Dinwiddie.
Although you're like 6'6" to 6'9". Like,
Yeah, it caps off.
It's like Duren is 3 inches taller than your point guard. It's not like it's
caps
a
off,
monster lineup, but it is tall from point guard to center.
That's the only thing missing from this list, and that's because it's becoming something very, very scarce to have a big man that can actually paint protect. It seems to be like a handful of those types of players, and they're just not available unless you want to go out there and pay a fortune.
JaVale McGee, come on home.
McGee.
Come on.
You know
Every
what?
day that passes, I'm more and more on the JaVale McGee train.
Preach.
Why not? Tell me why not. Shacked a fool.
Yeah.
JaVale McGee, bring him home. Speaking of, what about Patrick Beverly? This is actually the last point guard on the list. Was that a really quick scratch?
That's a really quick one. That's not the identity I want to hear necessarily.
No.
There was a time when I did, but it's been deflated.
That dog.
Yeah.
Now, he's not that dog.
He could bring some
I would have to agree
podcasting
with
to
Kool-Aid.
Detroit.
Look, bro,
Have you
there's
listened to
some
my podcast?
dogs that can scratch up your ankles. They can draw a little bit of blood, and that's just the most they do. That is Patrick Beverly.
Who's the dude he podcasts with? The little white guy? I guess he's kind of tall. I know I'm on a microphone here.
We do not have
goals.
his name.
Hashtag goals. All right, last two.
Yeah, I want to know what the chat thinks too, man. Patrick Beverly, man.
Yeah,
Snatch
actually, what
or
do they
scratch?
say? I got a glare on my screen, so I'm going to hold this a little.
Have you heard his podcast? If not, he's not coming here.
He's not a big fan of Detroit. Is he on the Austin Reeves game plan?
No, I was just asking. Have you subscribed to his podcast?
Oh, yeah. I don't watch. It's not
I see what you did.
If you
I
haven't subscribed
see
to his
what you did
podcast,
there.
he's not coming here. So.
I see what you did there.
when he snapped back at that reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's
You know
like
what?
a well-renowned, respected reporter for ESPN.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Sorry, Patty. All right, last two. One's fun. One's real. Maybe they're both real.
Yeah.
We'll do the fun one first. It looks like the Atlanta Hawks have moved on from Sadiq Bey.
Oh, bring him home. Bring
Listen,
him home.
I mean,
I'm
Sadiq
still
Bey,
hurt.
scratch or snatch? Snatch or scratch?
It's the reason why the Detroit Pistons actually passed on Sadiq Bey. You get him here, and what he believes he is not what the market is going to shake out, and that's why they said, you know what, let's get him somewhere else. Let's give him opportunity to prove what he is or isn't. And the Atlanta Hawks, with that opportunity, said, you know what, he just not necessarily he isn't. And the ACL injury doesn't help either.
Yeah.
The injury, it doesn't help. And it's unfortunate to see because I like Sadiq Bey, man.
KG, is it too crowded? Like, kind of seems like we need offense, but is it too crowded now at small forward / power forward?
I wouldn't say that. I feel like he would be a good piece coming off the bench, man. He's a shooter. We know that. He's not going to give you a whole lot on the defensive end, but at least he tries. But coming off ACL, like Kool-Aid said, I'm just not sure if he's the guy. But if I had my choice, I would snatch him because I'm still hurt about that trade. So,
I feel that. I'm not even against that. It's like at this point in time, I would pass. Just like I believed it was the right decision when they did before. But if you can get him on a good deal, it is Sadiq Bey. He already had like issues with speed, defensive mobility. I'm hoping that this isn't limited even more.
It'll be less on him this time around if he were to come back, though.
You're right.
I would have loved to see Sadiq Bey
true.
with Tobias Harris, a couple years ago. Like a veteran like that to actually help him, develop in the league. Maybe play a little bit of defense.
KG's exactly right on that. The usage and the responsibility as that goes down, you see efficiency start to rise.
Mm-hmm.
And then a player like Sadiq Bey, what a lot of people said when we saw him go to Atlanta is the fact that, hey, look, you put him in a lineup that has some talent and you get some production out of him. He's able to hit the knockdown, to catch and shoot three. He's able to get into the paint a little bit. He's able to dunk it if you need him to. I like Sadiq Bey. It's just
the real K.
unfortunate what happened to him.
Bring him home.
Real K. Collins says snatch. Bring him home. China
Bring him home.
Virus
Let's
says
go.
Bey, bring him home. But Rando Small says scratched. Scratch. Terrell Lamar also says I'm good. I'm good. All right, last one before we get into some Tigers talk. I'm really interested in this. Small forward, Isaac Okoro. He's a restricted free agent, still on the Cavs roster. 69 games played last year, about 10 points a game, 3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 39.1% three-point shooting. I don't know what volume, I don't know how many per game, but Isaac Okoro.
Do we have his height?
I think he's like 6'7", I want to say, 6'7", 6'8", around that.
We've instantly gotten into a log jam on the wing, something that was a huge deficiency, and now it's a strength of the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
How strong, we don't know, and that's where the Isaac Okoro conversation gets very, very intriguing and interesting, especially with the connection to, and I know you've mentioned it a lot, to J.B. Bickerstaff. Yeah. And the comments that J.B. Bickerstaff made about Isaac Okoro and believing that he just needs to be unlocked and that there is some star potential there with this player. If you truly believe that, and you're the coach who believes you can unlock this, with him being a restricted free agent, obviously that's going to cost you. I just don't know what that costs the Detroit Pistons. If you could just take, an absolute swing in free agency, unrestricted, you probably have to do that.
Yeah.
But with restricted free agency, what is it going to cost the Detroit Pistons to take a chance? And then when you're taking that chance, obviously it's going to come from your wing. Which wing are you going to give up or two to be able to take a chance on Isaac Okoro? And it might also take maybe an Isaiah Stewart too.
I would like to keep Beef Stew if we could, but
Gotta keep
I
him
mean,
forward ahead.
he's a very high upside player still. He's very young. I think it would be a good move. It's just I feel like you would have to start him if you go out and trade for a restricted free agent. So I just don't know, man. I don't know if I want him in the starting lineup, but I like him as a player. He's a bit of a two-way player. I like him as a player.
How much gamesmanship is involved, if any, in NBA trades like this? Like, is Trajan Langdon thinking anything at all? Let's try to drive the price up on him, because if they give him an offer and Cleveland really doesn't want to lose him, they got to match whatever the Pistons or any team offers him, correct? Could you be doing that as a future competitor in the Eastern Conference, get him into a bigger deal?
It depends on if you have the ability to play those types of games and if you believe that you can help Isaac Okoro become what you need him to be for your team.
Yeah.
Just doing that just to mess with one team when there are, 13 other teams in addition to you in that squad in your conference.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it does or doesn't help them, but there is some gamesmanship. If the Pistons were a little bit better squad and you're talking about contender to contender and I can take one of yours or make you have to use up your cap space to the point that now you can't go out there and sign up what you need to take that next step, then but at this stage, probably not.
You're not taking that risk. As you're building this team, I get it.
D-Matt.
I get it. What a legend. That man who's walking by us with 4 Stanley Cup rings.
Just 4 Stanley Cup championships.
And there's a president of the Detroit Sports Media Association right behind him.
Hey.
Have mercy.
Hey,
we
let's
got
get
some
that
legends.
camera on D-Mac.
Let's get some legends. Can you just point that at Neil and D-Mac just so our chat can say hey?
It's right there, D-Mac. Right there.
Hey, there it is.
What's up, everybody? I got to go take care of it.
Yeah, they got business to take care of. But we
Shout
just had
out
to
D-Mac,
prove that
man.
we weren't lying, that you guys are actually here. We had to show you on camera.
Oh, of course. You know I'll be here.
I love it.
Getting
Let's
his
get to
shots in.
break. Let's talk Tigers out of the break because they had a big sweep. A little sweep against the Cincinnati Reds these last couple days. Let me first tell you about Les Stanford because Kool-Aid.
Talk to him.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years?
Hey, tell him.